Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Honey Sundays. Today's podcast is a solo episode, and we are going to be talking about discontentment and finding purpose. Because just like majority of all these podcasts, they come out of real life conversations that I feel like I'm having all the time with people, with family and friends and clients. And it just got me thinking of why do we sometimes feel discontent? And why is the biggest question always, what is our purpose? I think life is all about, we kind of find it and then we're in this new transition or season of life. And then we have to find it again based on that season. So, what I came to the conclusion on, and I'm going to be looking down if anyone's watching on YouTube because I have notes written. I thought about this a lot and I want to be clear and concise so that you guys can have some takeaways and do your own version of it. But when we are lacking in our purpose, we become discontent. I don't think they can be mutually exclusive. I don't think you're just discontent for no reason or unhappy with your life for no reason. I think it really does stem from this inner desire of what should you be doing. I see this a lot. I hear this a lot with a lot of my friends that are stay-at-home moms now. I feel like I went through this as well after I had my daughter. I became stay at home for a while. And then once life goes back to normal, once your spouse goes back to work, you're like, okay, now what do I do? And then the questions start coming in. Are you going to go back to work? Different things. And again, none of that's inherently bad or good. It's more just people are curious. And what I found though is the problem was internally. It was, what is my identity now? Is my identity now a stay-at-home mom? Is my identity no longer a nurse? Because we tie a lot of our identities to our work and to perceived value in our culture, which is usually financial, right? So I've just heard this a lot. This is not just for moms though. I think this can happen in any transition and season of life. Maybe you just graduated college and you're like, what the F am I supposed to do? Like I did. Or maybe you are going into college and that's a whole other transition. Or maybe you're later in life and all your kids have left the house and now you're an empty nester. And it's just men or women, because of in different transitions, we have different purposes all along them. So the point being is we lack in our purpose because we are distracted. I think we become very distracted with all the noise in the world, like we've talked about several times on this podcast, but there is so much noise. There is social media, there is just an infiltration of what other people are doing constantly. And we don't really have the reflection time unless we are truly prioritizing it. We don't really have the reflection time to really figure out, okay, is this something that I actually want to pursue? Or am I just looking at their very curated life and thinking that it's something I want to pursue? And I think that happens more often than we think because it's happening at a subconscious level. And I'll give you an example. So in the fall, my husband and I went to Running Man. It's this wellness festival put on by Jesse Itzler and Devin Levesque. It's amazing. I highly recommend you guys go. Basically, there's keynote speakers. It's all health and wellness related. And then Saturday, you run a race. People are running anywhere from a 5K to a 50K. There are some elite athletes there, or there are people that are just there to have a good time. And while I was running, I was well into it. I was very tired, and everyone kind of links up with different people during the race. And this one guy, he was like, come on, let's run. And I was like, okay, one more lap. And it's cool because they do it at a former horse track. So one lap is 1 mile. So I was like, okay, sounds good, because you kind of just go in and out with whoever's pacing at that time. Anyways, I got to talking to this guy and he's a dad, has 2 little kids. So he's telling me that he's going to do this race and it's rim to rim or a 50K, an ultra or something like that. And I was really inspired by hearing him and hearing all the races he's done and hearing all of the things that he wants to do. And for a while I was like, wow, could I do that? As we're running, the endorphins are flowing. I'm like, I could do that. And then afterwards, after everything fades a little bit, like later that day, not even days later, I'm like, I really don't want to do that. I want to get pregnant again and I want to continue to grow my family. And There's nothing wrong with that. But my whole point in sharing this is like we can get wrapped up in other people's goals, and it's just such a different race. So, what is the race you're trying to run? Because there's nothing wrong with his. His are still very inspiring. And would I love to do that one day? Sure, maybe. But he was also probably 40, a man, and his kids, he wasn't having any more kids. So it's just different seasons of life. But my whole point is that it was a distraction. And I could have let that distraction run away with my mind. I could have let my mind keep going with it and keep pursuing it and training for it when that actually puts where I want to be. I would have been way behind on that, on where I personally want to be and want to get to. Does that make sense? So when you're writing down your goals or you're thinking of where you want to be, I would encourage you to, after you write them down, say, is this actually what I came up with? Is this actually what I am pursuing? Because a lot of the times you might not actually even want to do that, but it just sounded good at the time. It sounded glamorous. It sounded fun in the moment. And again, maybe you try it and then you quit it. And that's a whole nother thing of discernment of just knowing when to quit something. However, it can be hard to do, especially if we're people pleasers, especially if we have these tendencies to not want to quit things. And then we're kind of in deep and we dug this grave for ourselves where we're like, wow, we actually do not like anything we're doing, whether this is a job or training for something or whatever it might be, right? One of the questions following this and to expand on this is how can we stay focused on our goals and on what we want to pursue? And honestly, there's three things that I came up with and through conversations with people is less consumption is first and foremost. I think so much of this is happening subconsciously, and we have to be absolutely diligent with what we are consuming and who we are watching. And the less, the better. I think one thing is when we are consuming a lot, it prohibits our creativity. That is something I'm learning drastically. The more we consume, the less we create. And this can be creativity in literally any capacity. It can be just doom scrolling and wasting time in general can be a whole thing, but just get into those creative outlets. We talked about this before. What did you like to do as when you were a kid? What really fires you up? And try to do more of that. Try to get into that creative state where the ideas will come to you and it will become much more clear when you don't have all of this noise in your head. The next thing that you can do is put it on your wall. That sounds so easy and so silly sometimes, but seriously, I don't know if you're like me, but I will lose focus on my goals. I give all of my clients a habit tracker. If you want the habit tracker, let me know. It's a PDF and it's literally 5 habits with, you can change it month to month and it's checking it off every single day of what do you actually want to get to. Whatever your goal is, work backwards from it. If you want to gain muscle this summer, then one of them should be strength training, right? And then you can check it off. But then it's like in your face. I always tell people to put it in their bathroom. Bathroom's the best place. You brush your teeth in the morning, you sets your tone for the day of what you're going to be pursuing. And then same with the evening. Did I do it? Did I not? It's okay if you didn't and you miss a few days, but then going back to just refocusing over and over and over. And then another thing is, of course, sharing it with your inner circle. I think find an accountability buddy, find someone that can hold you accountable and that just can ask, like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how is this goal that you're trying to pursue? But make it someone, I want to challenge us here. Make it someone that is actually going to hold you accountable, but that you won't get mad at. So, for example, my husband cannot be my accountability partner. I will be annoyed when he asks about it. However, my friends, I can definitely tell them, and I'm telling them to ask me how it's going. So just use your discernment of who you're asking to be your accountability partner. And then the last thing, which is probably the most important, is how do we find our purpose? And how do we know what our goals are? How do we know what our values are? I really believe we are here to share our past experience with others. And when we do this, we are loving them. We are connecting with them. We are sharing a human experience that people can relate to and learn from. For example, my miscarriage, I talked about this in the first episode, I've talked about this in a few others, but I keep coming back to it because it's such a relatable story. And I've been able to relate with people so many times because of sharing it and just telling someone I went through it. And it was a big thing at the time. It's no longer a big thing for me. And I can talk about it very easily now. But thinking back to that former version of me that was experiencing it in real time, I definitely needed someone that had also gone through it. And in fact, I actually only shared it with, I think, one friend in the first few weeks because I knew that she had had one before, right? So we're always looking to relate to people. What experience have you been through? And usually it is a hardship that we've experienced. Those are the things that are the hardest to share. But then when we do, we can really help others. And it doesn't even have to be that deep. I think another thing is, what are you talking about with people all the time that you think is common knowledge, but that might not be? So, for example, what are people asking you questions on? It could be it could be interior design. It could be something really light and fun like that. Like you just have an eye and people are like, "Okay, you're so good at this. How can I decorate my house like this?" Just start sharing your creative gifts. Share your unique gifts. Ed Milet has a great quote, and he says, "We're best equipped to help the former version of ourselves." So, what is that former version of you? And how can you share it with the world? And how can you pour into others with it? You can go deeper. There's so many layers to this, guys. There's so many infinite things that you listening have such a unique gifting and unique perspective on that you can share with others. And again, you don't have to do it on social media. It doesn't have to be this big thing, but start to notice, what are people asking you about? And even better if it's a creative outlet that can be of service to others. I want to share one more example of this. Do you guys know the Container Store? If you don't know, it's a huge store of literally containers. Okay. It's like organization and all these things. Anyways, just to give you context, the owner of that store, the creator of that store, I forget her name, but she organized her pantry so well and organized her cupboards and I think she had little kids at the time. And her friends kept asking her, "Oh my gosh, can you organize my pantry, our closets, our whatever?" And she started doing this on the side just for her friends. And what happened was she couldn't find the containers and the dimensions that she wanted for each individual closet or whatever room she was doing. So she created it. Guys, this was a mom whose unique gifting was organizing her pantry. And now the Container Store is, I don't know, I'm multi-million, if not $1 billion company. So, and not that that's necessarily the goal, but it's something that happens so organically. What are you already doing that you can share with people? This is where the purpose comes in. Like, how many people's lives has she made easier from organizing? I feel so much better when my life is organized. And even though it seems like it's just containers, I'm sure people have absolutely raved about her. And then there's those home organizing people that probably use her products. Like, it is a ripple effect once we use art and identify our unique gifting. So, what is your unique gifting? What are people asking you about? When people come over to your house, what do they say to you? Do they say, "Oh my gosh, this is this. I love this"? Share the link on Instagram. Who cares if you have 200 followers? Like, just share what you're doing. I think we become restless because we're consuming instead of creating. So stop consuming and start creating. And I think this discontentment and this restlessness, especially with women right now, will just, you'll just feel such a peace about it. It will be fun and organic, and it doesn't have to be this deep philosophical question. It can truly just be, wow, my life has been a unique experience for me to share with others. And one prompt I want to leave you with, one thought, is that we are all going to die. And I know that sounds morbid, but this is what truly puts life into perspective for me every so often. We are all going to die. So, what is one thing that you have experienced that you need to share with the world in whatever way you want, or a friend or someone that it could help someone else when you leave this world? Or what is a message that you want to leave to your kids if you were to die tomorrow, or your spouse, or your mom and dad, whoever? If you were to die tomorrow, what's a message that you would want to have left? Write this out. It will become very clear of what you have learned, what lessons you have learned, and what you want to share with people. That is probably the most clarifying question I could ever give you is pretend that your time is limited because really our time is limited. I hope it gives you just a little fire under your rear of, you know, not wallowing in this. Like life is truly a gift and it's just more so of how we can utilize what we've been through to help others. And we will get more fulfillment. They will learn from it. It is just such a positive impact for every single party. So, wishing you all the best Sunday, and I will talk to you soon.